and I just want to talk about something a little bit serious today. Um, all of you, I know we talk smack about Metallica an awful lot, but there's one guy in the band that I've always, besides Jason, who's still alive, but Cliff Burton is somebody that I've always, sort of looked up to, and in a lot of ways, because he's my fellow Aquarius. And keeping that in mind, his sister is very ill right now. Now, something everybody should know is that Cliff died intestate, which means he didn't have a will, or he would have left something to his sister. Now, unfortunately, and this is over 2 decades ago, his sister had some substance issues, and because of that, the family discriminated against her and made sure that she never got access to any of Cliff's money. Now, could have been a good idea when she was using, but it's been over 2 decades. And so it's now just discrimination that they're giving her a stigma. I know she's given her life to God. I've actually talked to her personally, and I have met Ray Burton as well. So you're talking to somebody who's met the Burtons, the only living Burtons. And now Ray's gone. So Connie is the only nuclear family member left of Cliff Burton. And right now, this is her right here. As you can see, the resemblance is uncanny. And she's got some health issues right now. She needs some emergency surgery that if she doesn't get, it's going to go to her brain. And we can't have that. This is the last living relative, basically nuclear relative of Cliff Burton. And she has donated her time to talking to fans nonstop on her Facebook page, as well as she was in part of a documentary for Cliff in 2018, where she shared information and stories that nobody else has except for her, emotions, because nobody else understands what it's like to be Cliff Burton's sister. And with that, we need to protect these memories. And to do that, I totally encourage every single person, and I actually challenge you. I am totally broke, but I put in $20 this morning. And so keeping that in mind, I mean, that's what Cliff would have done. If Cliff was alive and Cliff had been able to write a will, he definitely would have left his sister something. He loved her very much. And I believe probably part of her substance problems was that her brother died. Like that's all she had. There was no other family members. And if you're only a family of a brother and a sister, you understand. You guys mean a lot to each other, no matter what your parents think. And, I just think they're being discriminatory over her because of the fact that they're, she's had a history. And I get it. I understand it. But she's got 22 years. How long do you need? And how many pounds of flesh you got to take before you give her a chance? Because you're all giving James a chance. Why can't we give Connie a chance? And I believe in it. And like I said, I'm broke, but I threw $20 in. And you figure that every single person, and I challenge you, every single person out there who has ever said that Cliff Burton touched their life, made them want to play the bass, changed their life. Anything that has got you where you're like, you've said Cliff Burton's name and connected it to your own. This is your opportunity to be the big brother that he can't be right now because he's in a different dimension. So keeping that in mind, throw $5 in, whatever. She only wants 15,000, and anything above that is a hand up for her to pay her rent so she can mend and feel better, because everyone's living paycheck to paycheck now. And so, usually we joke around and shit like that. And we're eating donuts this weekend for Ingve. So we're going there. However, this is really important to me. Like I said, I've talked to Connie before, and she is the sweetest, kindest, nicest person. Any of you can get her on Facebook. And if you want to talk to her, I'm sure she'd give you the time. And she just loves talking about her brother. And she loves talking to the fans the same way her dad did. And I shook her dad's hand at the anniversary show in San Francisco on the very first night. Ray Burton was there. And I got outside. For some reason, I got outside early when the crowds hadn't left yet. And Ray came out, and I recognized him immediately. I said, "Mr. Burton." And he came over and he shook my hand and he looked me straight in the eye, and he stayed as long as I needed to be able to express what I needed to say. And, that's just shows you that this is a great man. Now, I mean, unfortunately, he came from an old school where, if you do drugs, then your life is a mess, and it always will be. And that's not true. And we've all, opened up our hearts to James and, rooted him on through his recovery. But he doesn't have 22 years. Connie does. So why can't Connie have some of the Cliff money? Now, I understand it's his money. And if everybody's asking, she's estranged from the family and she's estranged from the money. And part of that is that Cliff's money goes to music charities for kids. Now, that's a beautiful charity. However, I know for a fact that as an Aquarius, so this is the only way that I can really relate with Cliff. I don't play music or anything like that. But as an Aquarius, I know that I would take care of my sister. And in that, I think every single person that says they're a Cliff fan can throw in $5. And if it goes over 15,000, that means we've got a rent paid. Can you imagine if we paid her rent for a year, what she could do? So these are the things. This is the thank you you can give Cliff that you've never been able to give him by helping out his sister, because she's his only living nuclear relative. And with that, I know it's really serious. I hope everybody has a great Canada Day and a great July 4th and whatever else. If there's anything in between that you're celebrating, it's really hot here. I hope everybody stays cool and hydrated, and just be good to one another. And please think about this. You're all spending huge amounts at these shows. You're spending thousands of dollars to attend these shows. What's $5, $10, giving it to Cliff Burton's sister. And this isn't a scam. And I'm not affiliated with Connie. I haven't spoken to her in over a decade. However, as I said, this is an opportunity for all of us to show Cliff how much we love him, besides yelling at an auditorium in a place that he is only there in spirit. So this is a tangible way of us showing Cliff how much we love him. So yeah, like I said, I only gave $20. That's all I had, that was a splurge, but it's worth it for me. Like, it's worth it. Like, Cliff Burton's the reason why this band still exists. And here he is, it'll be the 40-year anniversary this year. And we're still feeling his vapor trails. So this is a no-brainer for anybody, especially if you're buying Metallica tickets, to put $10 in for Cliff's sister and help her out. And with that, I hope everybody has a great long weekend or day off or whatever it is. And again, be good to each other, and think about Connie this weekend, and think about, what's $5?